you know, finishing it off at the end, I'm just, I thought we were going to make a run, and the way we started the game was so disappointing. And basically, we got punked. We got, they're plus 15 rebounds. Are you kidding me? I've never seen that. Division I against Division III, maybe, but I've never seen 15. What are you going to be down 30 rebounds? They're going to out rebound you 50 to 20. I mean, I never heard of such a thing. In the second half, I told him at halftime, I said, this will be a great story, this comeback, if that's what you want. But I can't play anybody that's not going to rough it up. If you don't want body contact, you can't be in this game. And then I was trying anything I could. And Dante had it going. The kids loved it. I loved it. We were running stuff for him. And, he was making shots. And you notice from the Arkansas game, I kind of adjusted the out of bounds stuff, and we did what we wanted and got a good look. If he wasn't so wide open, I would have called a timeout right in front of us, but he was so wide open, I just let it go. But it's just disappointing. And it's, let me just say, kind of like the year went, a couple baskets here, a block here. They make a free throw. We miss a free throw. A guy's wide open, and instead of making a tough play and getting fouled, we take a jump shot, doesn't have a chance of going. I mean, it's, a tough, our teams physically have always been roughhouse tough. And this team wasn't that way. But let's look at it. All they've been through, and you're down 14 at half, could have been down 20, and you come back and go up 5 or 6. The only basketball thing I showed them, they ran the same play twice. Dante got screened and didn't say anything. Instead of take mine, he didn't say anything. But when they ran it the second time and he didn't say anything, it didn't matter. Keon, go out and guard it. And they gave him another one. We gave him one. And so that was the two. And I'm like, come on now, we're better than that. That's just having basketball sense. But give Mississippi State credit. They were ready to go. They knew they were going to. Their bigs haven't done that to any team this year, what they did to us. I mean, they scored almost every point in the first half.
Kyle Tucker, go ahead.
Cal, I'm sure that over the course of this year, you've spent a lot of time thinking kind of, how did we get here? How did this happen? What are the biggest things you feel like you've learned from this?
Not right now, Kyle. Let's just talk Mississippi State. That's all I'm going to talk about, because to really sit back and look at, some things that went, guys that we thought, and, the Corona and one of the things I'm proud of, we went 5 months with no positive test on the staff or the team. 5 months. And that means the kids were disciplined. And that means the university was doing what they were supposed to keep these kids safe. How we traveled, what we did. No expense was spared to make sure we did it the right way. But again, this is having a brand new team without Keon, without Terrence, and trying to do this, and then playing one of the best schedules in the country doesn't bode well for what was going on. And what's sad? We were a couple wins away from being a team, even with a bad record, 2 or 3 wins. And you're right there with all the numbers that they're saying, all these teams in the NCAA tournament. But you know what? At the end of the day, you got to win games, and you got to be tough, and you got to play winning basketball, not just basketball. I'm either going to get fouled, or it's a shot I can make, or a shot someone rebounds. Defensively, I'm not breaking down and fouling and giving them a chance to beat us on the foul line. Ain't happening. That's not winning basketball. And we were never able to get fully engaged in that. But I'll say this, all these kids have been through, and they never stopped. They gave us an effort every night in practice, every game. Now, we were lacking and flawed in different ways as a team, but they fought. And I would say disappointed in the record, but not disappointed in these kids. Not disappointed in them. Just, we weren't, what we thought we could be at some different spots, but, we'll address that when the season's over, or when this winds down, I should say.
Cal, just to follow up on that, you were talking about all the obviously there were lots of things out of your control this year in terms of COVID. Do you think that had the bigger part in how this played out, or are there things about the program that need to be adjusted moving ahead?
Well, we'll look at it later. This is more about this game.
Larry Vaught, go ahead.
John, if you could, it looked like Dante was playing with more confidence and movement and everything than what he had in recent weeks. Was that just because he made a shot or two early, or was that just what you'd been seeing was coming again from him?
Well, we saw it in practice. I mean, they're the only two people in our practice, is Goose and Tom, and they watch. And if a kid goes 1 for 12, they're sitting there watching. No one else is in there. But all of a sudden, he starts making shots again, and you see it. And I went on a radio show and said he was on fire for a first time in a month and a half. And so it was kind of like we played transy, and he went on fire, and you got to see it. But the person that got to see it more than anybody else was Dante. And the greatest thing for him, these players cheered him on. They wanted him to shoot. They were begging him to shoot. And what a great thing for a team like this. And I'll be honest with you, they were good with Terrence. And they knew some of their minutes were going to go down if I tried to play Terrence, but they were fine with it. They were cheering him on.
Jerry Tipton, come to you next.
John, it's kind of a two-parter, but how did you think Terrence Clark performed for you, given not being out there for so long? And Brandon struggled, it seemed. How difficult was it as a coach to not know what you were going to get from players game to game?
That was a tough one for this year. But again, let's just talk no summer, no fall, 10 new players who'd never played together, no Keon. You're 6 games in, 8 games in, whatever it is, and no Terrence Clark. And what I tell you about Terrence, he was fine until he got a little winded. And then there was a play, the ball bounced near him, and he had no chance of getting it because he couldn't even move to go get it. And that's when I took him back out. It's not fair to put him in and then have him make a play that we lose. It all was coming back to effort and intensity at the end anyway. But I thought he did fine. And it's a heck of a thing that he wanted to try to play to help our team. And he knew if we had 4 games in 4 days, he was going to be needed.
John Clay, go ahead.
John, you talked about how Mississippi State inside, the way they dominated around the rim. Was that just a toughness issue, or was Mississippi State doing things to get the ball inside on you easily?
We had worked for a few days about sitting on the post, basically fronting the post. And in the first half, we just stood behind the post. And we don't weigh enough. We're not tough enough. So they would turn shoulders into you, elbows into you, move you, and just laid the ball in. We're not, he weighs 260. Our guy weighs 195. And so we said, you got to sit on him. You got to get around. You got to, what happened in the second half was we started switching ball screens. So when you watch what was happening, they were going ball screen. We just switched everything and had our bigs guard their guards and our guards guard their big until we could switch back. And that's where we made a run on them. But in the first half, they were driving it down and throwing it to the post. Our guards got beat on the dribble, and then they were dropping balls to the post, and we were standing behind. The other one is they rebounded. So when you talk about how they scored, they probably scored 7, 8 baskets by just offensive rebounding where we just couldn't come up with balls.
Michael Bennett, go ahead.
John, it seemed like the first half you obviously got out-rebounded, out-replayed in the paint, and Mississippi State was just owning it, and there was no sense of urgency on the team. I'd like to know what you said at halftime to totally turn this around, and then what did you say after the game was over and the disappointing loss?
At halftime, the staff was going crazy a little bit. I walked in, I said, just stop. This ain't about us. This is, if they want to do this, they'll fight. And we're going at you in the post. And you're going to either prove you're tough enough or you're not. We talked about, do you understand that if we get this close, you're going to watch a different game? I talked about, all right, I'm starting Dante this half. Jacob, he's just too physical a game for you. Can't play in this game. And so now we went with him, and the team was kind of jacked that we did it. But the reality of it is we fought. We threw it into the post. We weren't trying to shoot jumpers. We're coming at you just like you're coming at us. And then a couple things. And then after the game, I just said, look, I'm just going to go two things. One, the two plays that they ran in a row for the three that we did not speak, not one word. And then when they did it a second time, you didn't have to speak. You knew what was coming, and you still let them get the shot off. I said, now, the way you fought, the way you came back, man, I'll tell you what. I can't begin to tell you how it made me feel to watch you do that. I said, but again, what you're going to learn in this sport, if you physically can't do it, then you're not going to be able to do it. So you can skills, bounce it, do your thing. If you physically can't do it, you can't do it. And this was a great lesson. And sometimes you can physically do it, and I'd rather not because it's kind of rough and guy hits my body. So I'm just going to push instead of wedge. He drives. I'm going to back away from him and give it. If I have to offensive rebound, he may touch me. So I'm going to stay out here. Okay. But here's the point. Either you play that way or not this sport. This sport is a man's sport. And the way they played in the first half, and we gave ourselves a chance, and, but that's, and then I just thought, and then the only other thing I talked about is academics. It's time to finish the term, and it's not an option here. You finish the term, and you get with Mike Stone and you line whatever up you got to line up, but you finish the term.
Gary Graves, finish us off.
Yeah. Cal, you were talking about the comeback. I mean, how encouraging is it for you with this roster to see, even though you're down, by double digits, but they come back and make it a game? I mean, going forward, I know it's too soon.
No, I'm sorry. I coach at Kentucky. No. I'm happy for them that they fought to get back in it. We had a chance to win. And if you noticed, me or the staff, none of us stopped. We didn't stop coaching. Like, we're doing everything we can to give them a chance to win. Here's the problem. We're not on the court, and they've got to finish things off. You have to make winning basketball plays. I'm not shooting a shot that cannot be rebounded. I'm not. I'm either getting fouled or I'm making a basket, or I shoot it and we rebound it. I'm not taking something that we can't. And on defense, they're not beating us at the foul line. We've had it happen how many times now? They're going to have to make a basket, not free throws. And we foul. That's not winning basketball. But no, I'm the coach at Kentucky. One, being in the game, being down at half, no, I'm not happy. How they fought, I'm happy for them, to get them to understand. It's a great lesson for them. This season was a lesson for them. Hopefully, if they self-evaluate, they know where they are as an individual player. They also know this is a team game. If you don't play together, you can't win. And again, I feel bad for them. They did not get to experience Kentucky. Now, you and I know if we got up 5 in a normal season, how many people would have been in this building? 17,000 out of 19 would have been Kentucky people. And then you finish off the game. What would have happened for Dante? Just the same thing that happened for Davion the other night, where he made all those shots. This place would have been going. They didn't get to experience it. They only experienced the other side. You lose here, you struggle at home. Come on, man. We lost, 4 or 5 home games or more? We don't lose at home. We haven't lost that in my entire time here. This experience for them, they've been cheated. But you know what? I'll say this. They could have taken better advantage of the opportunity that was here playing-wise. And I wish I could have helped them more. I wish I could have done more. I wish I could have thought of different things. But I will say, I walk away knowing that the staff and I, we worked and never stopped for these kids. And it was about them. We never took it personal. I'm not looking at it like my record. I don't care about that. I don't care what my record is forever. I don't care. This is about how do we help kids? How do we get them prepared for life, for basketball, for life after basketball? How do we get them prepared as a man, as a father, as a husband? How do we do this? What do we do together to do this? And I think these kids were cheated in one way and weren't cheated in another way. Going through this is one of the great life lessons that they're going to have, that they survived it and they had their chance. If we win this, who knows what could have happened? You know what? They had their chance. And when you let stuff go, you learn to fight more. Somebody's going to die, them or us. Well, you must be okay if it's you, because you're going to take a shot or you're going to foul, or you must have been okay that it was you to die. My teams historically played like if they lost, they were going to the electric chair. This team did not. Times we did, but maybe physically, we weren't capable of that. But you know what? Here's what I would say. For them to play how they started that game and then to play the second half the way they played says something about them. They never quit on anything. They didn't quit one time this year. Thanks.
Yeah,